watching the documentary and sort of what you were brave enough to share and to explain, which I could never have known at that age, was all the things you were going through and facing.
Yeah.
And because for the most part it wasn't shared with me, this separation started between us.
It's interesting, like, as we talk about our relationship, you know, from Drake and from Amanda's show, you know, and I don't know if this is like just because, you know, we've made a lot of bad choices in our lives, or if it's just from trauma. But
yeah.
I have a lot of trouble remembering a lot of things.
Fair.
And things come back as people say things, and I'm like, oh, I forgot. Oh my gosh, I remember that. Like, you know, I was talking to, remember Jill? Remember my girlfriend Jill?
Yeah, ex-girlfriend.
I was talking to her the other day, and, you know, she had mentioned there's this something that I do just for for comfort as an adult, and she mentioned something, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's why I do like that, like, you know. So sometimes things come back. But what I was saying was, from Amanda's show, that was the time when we were hanging out and like going bowling and like staying at each other's places, and you come to my mom's house and like we do that. And then as that big break between Drake and Josh and Amanda's show is when I told my mom what was going on. Mm-hmm. We went to the police, the investigation, all of the stuff that you saw in the documentary. That was when all of that was going on. And then when we shot the pilot, we were in the middle of the investigation, but nobody had known anything because Brian hadn't been arrested.
Right.
Mm. So I had to come back from where, like the Amanda show, where the dude was, where the abuse was happening. You know.
Yes.
The worst part about it being that was my having you know, having the monster in your own in your safe place. You know, it's like that's the only place I feel comfortable is when I get to set and hang out with you guys, and we go goof around and put on our masks and wigs and makeup and, you know, make people laugh and slide around and get dirty. Like, that's where I feel safe. But it's like, it sucks because it's like shit that, like, you know.
Yeah. Nowhere
my house
safe.
isn't where I feel safe.
Yeah.
You know, at home. I mean, I did. I mean, I didn't have like abusive parents or anything. You know, I had a difficult, you know, divorced parents, whatever. But still, where I felt most comfortable, where I was the happiest, was when I was on set with you guys. And the worst part was every day I got there, there was the monster was there, you know? And so that was the worst. Mm-hmm. So now there's this whole break. I go into the most insane, just mental breaks and just everything that were the investigation. And it's crazy, you know? And then we do the pilot because he hadn't been arrested when we did the pilot.
And we're like 14.
Yeah. And so now I'm coming back. He hasn't been arrested. And I don't know if you remember, but he came and visited during the pilot. And I got him, and I made sure, and that was an issue. But I still had to play like, oh, like, hey, cool, whatever. Like, wow. You're about to get arrested, bro.
Yeah.
And you don't even know. And he's like walking around set like during the pilot. And so now I haven't really like vocalized this or thought about this really, but I think talking about our relationship is triggered this like thought. He's like, now I'm entering the Drake and Josh phase where we should be like, bro, like partners, like this is our time, like let's be in this together, let's like, you know, this is just the first step. Like first it's a show, then we could do this, and like been like really like our bonding. But I came back to the same stage, the same parking lot, the same dressing rooms, the same green room, the same makeup rooms, the same. It's like
everything's triggering.
Yes. So now, and in the back of my head, the whole time I'm working with doing the pilot, I know that there's this investigation happening. I know that this guy's about to get arrested. I know that shit's about to hit the fan, and nobody in here knows it.
Yeah.
And I'm 14 or 15, and I'm like, got this whole production, this whole crew. He shows up one day, strolling onto set, walking around, everyone's talking, and I'm sitting there going, none of you have any idea what is in process right now and what's about to happen.
And are you furious that here we are surrounded by all these adults, teachers in theory, people that should have been protecting us, protecting you, and that no one did that?
At that time, no. Because at that time, I'm an adult. You know, I'm no. In my
14-year-old
head. I want to be not I'm adult. That was the wrong way to say it. I want to be an adult, right? I want to be seen as an adult. I want to be I'm an actor. Like, I want to be able to be sitting I don't want to be at the kids' table. Like,
Sure.
You know, just because I'm 14, 15, like I'm an actor. I want to be with my peers and like that. And so you don't really notice it that much, but as you grow into an adult, we're dads now. Yeah. I think it's so illuminating. It's unbelievably illuminating to see like how now it's really confusing.
Yes.
Now it's very confusing.
Well, to your point,
to how there could be that many people around and not do anything. Like, now that we have our kid, I'm like, what? Like,
it's beyond.
It's crazy. It's just crazy.
I had a feeling because Brian, who was ever present during the Amanda show, and then...
Well, that's another thing, too. You can kind of, like... It was, like, ever present, right? Like, just everywhere that...
Which is kind
strange.
of the story for people like that. Mm-hmm. And then he was gone. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know anything except I had a feeling something happened. And I remember we were in the car. It was you, me, and Jill. And I said, you still talk to Brian? And you just looked at me like, no, Brian's a really bad guy. And I remember thinking, gotcha. And it was all that I needed to know. And I didn't know anything more than that, but I was like, that's clear. Yeah. Gotcha. And
I wasn't talking to people like that. Like, you know, I think because we were so close that I was like, you're one of the cats that, like, I'm not going to maybe divulge, but, like, you need to know now that that's not a good person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think it was months after this, I got a text from someone who worked on the show saying, Brian's arrested.
Wow.
He's going to jail. And I think through my simple teenager mind, I just thought, oh, thank God. Mm-hmm. Like, thank God he's going to jail. Good. Like, and it's only in watching the doc that I can realize that just him being put to justice, which thank God he was and deserved to go longer. But, like, what about you? Yeah. What about the trauma you endured? Yeah. It's so much deeper. It's so much more unacceptable than all that. It's not this clean, well, he went to jail, so everyone's all better now.
Yeah, and you know, it was hard, I think, during that time because when we went to court, the entire side of his courtroom was full of people who I thought were my friends and people who I looked up to, people whose careers I would like mine to be one day. And I'm like on the side with like Robert and Roy, and I think it was me and my mom. I think Michael might have been there. It's hard to see that's where the memories like kind of get fuzzy.
Yeah.
I think Michael was there. But that man, I had a good point here. But anyway, seeing that side of the courtroom was like, okay, so is it just because we think it's wrong? And I mean, it got to be this whole thing of like, wait, but no, like he's the bad guy. You should be over here. wait, are we the, like, it was almost like when I got in my car accident. I was in a left-hand turn lane, going to make a left, sitting on my brake at a red light.
Yeah.
The guy fell asleep, crossed the lane, hit me head on. But immediately, I get out of the car and I'm thinking, I'm a 19-year-old kid. This has got to be my fault. I must have been somewhere. I must have thought that was a left-hand turn lane. I must have been in the wrong place. I must have been like this.
Yeah.
This has to be my fault, because obviously this adult that's driving this giant Mercedes didn't just fall asleep and go across lanes and hit me. It's got to be my fault. And so it kind of like apply that to like when you see that courtroom like that, right?
Yes.
You're like, oh, well, I must have done something wrong, and this must just be some process that like has to happen because like, you broke the law and this is bad. But in the reality and in the culture and in this town,
yes,
like, you're all good, bro. Like, 'cause look.
Right.
And then there's 41 letters, and then who knows who, like we were talking at lunch, it's like, how many people were like, bro, I'm not putting pen to paper. No, they're going to be sealed. Yeah, I'm sure. And then in 20 years, when somebody makes a documentary and unseals them, my name's going to be out there? No, sir. But I'll take you to dinner, and anything you ever need, man, I'm in your corner. How many of those were there that didn't write the letter? So it's like if there's people who wrote that. So then it just becomes this onion of like where through this whole time I thought like, okay, well, there's this bad person in Hollywood, and watch out for them, but you can find them everywhere, and
right.
don't watch out when your kids are in soccer practice. Watch out when you're in your, in your office building, whatever, anything. But
and
it became, oh wait, it's not just there's like the protectors, and then the people who like are down to just I don't know. It's just it became this whole like, I was on the blacklist and there was a cabal, and I was like Raymond Reddington, ready to just like take everyone out.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about this in the doc, but for you to find these 41 letters that they discovered of people who were sort of writing, basically they were character witnesses of Brian's, right? Like defending him.
Yeah.
And you and I talked, and feel free if you don't want to talk about it, of just like how shattering that was.
Well, I read you one of them. I mean, you could give
it's fucking bonkers.
I mean,
it's
you could give the audience a taste of what I mean from what just that one letter. I mean,
it's absolutely insane, and unfortunately, what was allowed, what was the group think at this time, that any of this could have been allowed in any respect. And at 14, I remember going, this relationship's inappropriate.
Yeah.
But assuming...
Well, remember my birthday at his house?
So I remember that, but I'm not sure I was there.
No, you were there.
Or I think I left quite early.
You probably did. You probably left early, but it was weird, bro. It was strange. Like, I was just in it, and like, for me, like, you guys were there, and
Michael,
and the people from the show, and the like, just camera guy. Like, it was like if we were having the birthday on set. It was the same. It was like those people, So there was like sort of this like that's not that strange. But yeah, it's just looking back, it was just all like, how is nobody seeing like what the intentions are here? It's just wild.
Yeah, we're the good guys, we're not the great guys, we're just good